This boulder isn't very interesting to me. Yeah. Have you ever set this move?
Only like 20 times.
I think that this is Mike Bikino's nephew, actually. Welcome to episode 5, the season finale of Battle of the Bloc season 1. I am Roy Quanstrom, your host, and with me is my co-host, Monica Barnes. Monica is a level 3 USAC route setter. Thank you so much for joining us. You're the season 2, episode 1 setter. So you're one of the setters for season 2,
Yeah.
which is cool. So as a participant, having been sort of in front of the camera for Battle of the Bloc, what was your experience like?
I thought it was really fun. It was definitely, I think the things that were harder for me was that because it was a competition, I was like, I wanted your and Maddie's opinions, but I couldn't get it. So I was like,
you'll get it.
I want to know what you think of this, like this move. And I feel like you guys were like keeping it a little close to the chest, which you should have been, but I was like, not as much like communal feedback in the forwarding process is what I'm used to.
I tend to give a lot of feedback, a lot of thoughts. Maybe sometimes I err a little too much on the feedback side. So it's a challenge for me too, as the facilitator of this exercise, to really hold it close to the chest and just know, like, kind of sometimes feeling like I'm watching people fail a little bit. Like, I don't know if that's gonna be, I mean, usually you eventually get there. The hold line that we were using in this video series is called the deltas. There's a reason why this was the hold line that we did for season 1. I think for me, it kind of just represents a lot of assets. So one thing that like Dino mentioned, and I think that Cody mentioned this a little bit as well, but just that it's really cool within a cohesive line that you have tweak holds sort of in every variable usable surface. So like within the edges, you have everything from like a finger bucket to like kind of like a sloping edge. I just think that it's just like a very good utility hold set. At the end of this video, we will announce the Real Chalk winners. So you have to watch the whole video. I think we should both write down our assessments of these boulders. And so the way we're gonna do this is we have 3 boulders. You get to decide which boulder you're gonna keep. So tick and strip, comp ready, nothing changes. A boulder to tweak. And when I say tweak, I mean like spin some holds, but the general idea stays the same. So we'll say you're tweaking the boulder, but you're not necessarily like reimagining the boulder.
Okay.
And then the third one is you just dirt it, whole thing, off the wall. And I like this pressure that we're putting on ourselves for these 3 boulders. We're gonna have to really think about it. Like, we're both in charge of this round. Like, these are individual rounds. Yeah, we're co-chiefing this round. And I'm gonna have my vote and you're gonna have yours.
All right.
And we'll see. And then I think once we've watched all 3, we'll just do like a little inventory.
Okay.
Does that sound good? Does that sound good to you? Season 1, episode 1. Have you worked with Cody before? Do you know Cody at all?
I know Cody. Never really worked with him. He taught my L2.
Okay.
So I've met him and sort of, it's not really working with him.
So yeah, you've probably never been to this gym.
No, it does look sick though.
Yeah. I like this gym. It has no T-nuts, which is,
I noticed that.
which is super cool.
It looks like these volumes were already on the wall.
They were already on the wall.
It's kind of a cheat. I feel like he's already disqualified. DQ this boulder. I didn't see him put any volumes on the wall. They were magically there.
That's a good point. These volumes were already on the wall. So we stripped a section of wall. As you can see, well, this is the opening set. And so like he didn't really want to just like strip a section and dirt boulders. And so yeah, we left this boulder on the wall, which is not a level playing field. I think that the only thing that would have affected that is his time, and he did set this boulder in like less than 10 minutes. And so he probably could have mounted the volumes on the wall with enough time, but that's a good point. We should acknowledge these volumes were already on the wall. So he does this thing where you start on, I don't know, it's like, I don't know, a couple of these holds, and you do this runny do up a volume to an undercling jug. This is like iteration 1. And then you do the step up to a blocked crimp. So advanced.
Yeah.
Have you ever set this move?
Only like 20 times.
How long do you think it would have taken you to set this boulder?
I don't know, are my volumes on the wall?
Your volumes are on the wall.
Okay, probably similar to Cody then.
Yeah.
10 minutes or less.
Yeah, to me, this feels very standard.
Yeah.
I appreciate fundamental boulders, generally. Like I think that they're some of the hardest boulders to set well. Like I always try and have these in like a qualifying round.
For sure.
Like,
it's like an important skill to show that you can do it.
Yeah.
I will say I was a little sad because Cody's so good at setting like cool or complex cordo. I was like hoping we'd see something a little more from him.
Yes.
Because he's so good at it and you see it all the time on his like Instagram and comps and stuff.
Yeah.
You got kind of like a ABC boulder when you feel like Cody's a good novelist, you know?
I hadn't thought about it in those terms, but I was wondering why I was so disappointed with this.
Because he's so much better than this.
He's so much better than this. Like, I don't know. What were you thinking, Cody? Come
on, Cody.
when you set the run-of-the-mill run-up volume boulder thing.
It's crazy. All these holds, you see him pick the jug too. It was like, never would have seen that coming from Cody.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You're surprised by the jug? Actually, it's probably, I think it was the most common hold used. That's
jug?
and one thing I liked about Patrick, my boy Patrick, was he didn't use the jug, man. I appreciate that. I think that's a positive thing. Oh, yeah, we were trying to like do the toe hook thing. It just didn't, it would have been a bit of an overhaul, I think, to achieve this sort of like run up and then toe hook on the slab. There's a recipe for the run up and catch a toe hook thing, and it isn't this.
Your like run up position would be almost opposite of what you're set up for, it looks like.
So that you can smash into the toe hook going the same direction as where you want to place the toe hook.
I feel like that's nice when that happens like that.
It definitely is easier that way. I wanted like the hand to be further left and the toe hook to be up and right more, so it's like a compression. But then you could probably just go out to it with your hand. Also, this volume is just like kind of too good. Yeah. I think it would have need to be turned.
You can almost go no hands on it, it looks like.
Yeah, you got there and you were like, okay, next thing, which I like. I like having sort of like, in sometimes like a little bit of a halfway reprieve to get people thinking. I will say the nice thing about Cody's boulder is this is by far the most tweakable. When you talk about setting a good skeleton, this is probably the best skeleton because it's not really anything yet. I would have liked to see more of like a Grotsky special, you know, where you basically, like he looks like a hockey player and he sets these boulders where you just like kind of skate up the wall like you're in the NHL. Man, I just love him, you know, but he didn't do it. He didn't give it to me. Yeah, I mean, in terms of thinking about whether we're gonna tick and strip, tweak, or dirt, I don't think that I'm gonna tick and strip it. I think I'm gonna do something to it. But whether or not it's dirting it or tweaking it, it's still probably gonna be the quickest. It's gonna be the quickest one to dirt and it's gonna be the quickest one to tweak.
Yeah, because there's 3 things to take off the wall.
Yeah, there's just not a lot there. So
he really did your holds justice, showed them off really well.
Oh man, just the breadth of the deltas. It was really quite on display on the pad that was in front of the wall. Holder number 2, Patrick. So I was the most pleasantly surprised by this interaction. When I first saw that they were doing like the picking screws and whoever got the short screw had to do it, I was like, this is like a little risky. You know, for the other 2, I definitely knew how I was gonna be working with. It just reinforces that there are really good root setters, coast to coast, baby.
Yeah.
In this great nation.
Especially at movements.
Especially at movements, apparently. Apparently something's working. Yeah, because I was really impressed with Patrick.
Putting his volumes on the wall in his 30 minutes. True sportsmanship.
Wow. Just bringing things up. Yes, he did have to put on his own volumes. One of the things that I walked away from at Movement LIC was I think that this was the most difficult bay.
Stuck between 2 dihedrals like that is a tough spot to be. I feel like really nice boulders often travel a lot, but if you travel too much, you have these giant jug feet, even if you put no hands on them.
Right.
And you're obviously limited in how far you can travel.
One thing that I was impressed by with Patrick is just that he submitted to the study. He wasn't trying to work against the bay.
Yeah.
Have you ever tried to work against a bay?
Yeah, definitely a lot more when I was a newer setter too. I think as I've gotten better, it's always like, the wall doesn't want you to do it, don't do it. Yes.
I think you could make an argument that Dino over at Reach had an easier bay, or maybe like the best bay. Maybe not the easiest bay, but the best bay. This was definitely like, if I am sitting there pre-competition and people were like, okay, who wants to set in bay this one?
Yeah.
I'm not gonna just be like,
yeah,
I've got a great idea. General thoughts on this boulder?
I mean, I feel like I agree with you a lot. My biggest gripes with the boulder are where the wall itself, not necessarily the boulder. There's like cool nuance happening, and I would wonder like if there were more time, or like I guess not the rules of the competition where it's all on you and like a little more communal. If something with like maybe a little more nuance and a little more interesting could have happened. This big volume sloper in the middle, I would like to see the boulder without that and see what could happen without it. I think it would be cool.
Yeah.
If like you had to figure out some delicate footwork thing or something.
Committed
fast
to this.
Out of the corner or something instead of just grabbing this big volume sloper.
I was gonna take the jib off.
The volume?
Yeah, the foot jib. Because, and maybe that just sort of highlights the ways that we climb. But either way, you end up with like a faster result, I think.
Yeah.
And my gripe with this boulder is that I feel like, and well, now we have two pretty obvious, pretty easy tweaks to get going really fast in the middle of this boulder.
Yeah. A pace change, I feel like, is what's missing from this boulder. Yeah, I feel like this moment when he's like standing on the jib, and he's pressed into the corner. It'd be so cool to me if he had to like push out and like step through and catch or something. Instead he just ends up like sinking low on this sloper and going slow.
Based on how this conversation is sort of fizzling out and it's getting like not very interesting, this boulder isn't very interesting to me.
Yeah.
There's just not a ton to talk about.
I kind of agree. It kind of is just it could be really interesting.
Yeah. I like your tweak with taking the volume off. In terms of the round, how do you see some potential for how this could fit within a round without sort of exposing your true bias?
I feel kind of similar to how I felt about Cody's. Is like there's something there, like there's a question being asked, but it needs to be edited a little bit at the very least to be the right question for the round.
The unfortunate thing about Patrick's boulder is that it's going to be a lot of work.
Yeah.
I think that there's so much going on the wall. It's kind of the antithesis of Cody's boulder in that way, where it's like, okay, if I dirt this, it's going to be like a project to dirt it. But then if I tweak it, it's going to be a lot too. So it's like, do I just let it run because it's actually going to be the most work as is? You know, there's like, it could definitely be better. It's a little bit of a boring sort of like journey on the wall, but it still does something. So I don't know, but with your tweak, you kind of just take that volume off and you're pretty good. So maybe it is, maybe it's a little easier than I'm trying to make it sound.
If you feel this way about this boulder, it's like maybe it'd work, maybe it'd be cool. Sometimes I just feel like maybe there's just a better question in these dihedrals that we could just ask if we started from ground zero.
Are you really trying if your thing isn't getting dirted every once in a while? I don't know. Shall we go to boulder 3?
Let's do it.
Okay.
Reach looks like a cool gym. Discount Mike Bikino looks like a really good setter. I like this boulder.
I think that this is Mike Bikino's nephew, actually. As far as this competition is concerned, the best route setter.
That's what I see. He's definitely set the most interesting question.
Yes.
I think.
Every part of it did something interesting.
Yeah.
To me.
You kind of mentioned this in the video, but he doesn't start from the start. He starts from like an interesting position. And then I feel like he sets a couple more interesting positions. And then the rest of it is just like, how do we connect them? For me, that's where I feel like I've had a lot of successful boulders is like, you don't really know all the time. You're kind of playing and exploring as you're setting. And that's where you come up with the stuff is like, oh shit, I didn't think about that, or I didn't see that. And like now you're trying this thing that's cool and it feels new. Feels like something you haven't done before.
Right.
And in terms of a round, I think that's where you also ask competitors the best questions because like, if I haven't seen this before, they probably haven't seen this before. So like, who can learn this question the fastest?
I think that Dino interpreted the competition in exactly the way that you're talking about, where he really took some risks.
Mm-hmm.
He really tried to ask something that is a little bit more out of the box. Whereas I think some of the other competitors played it a little bit more safe,
Mm-hmm.
said something that they knew. And I mean, it was very obvious that, Dino didn't necessarily know where this was going.
Yeah.
So, and it's also hard to set a skeleton that way as well. I feel like in terms of like setting this situation and then this position over here, you're like, okay, I'm gonna get an interesting sort of way to get from here to over there. And then I'm gonna boot up,
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna try it, and then I'm gonna set the start. Are you intermixing route setting and forerunning?
Yeah, a bit. Probably not to the extent that you're talking about, at least in like commercial sets and stuff.
Mhm.
And I definitely didn't do that in my season 2, episode 1 boulder. Like a lot of times I will be like in the hold room and like find like a cool hold and a volume, and I'll be like, oh, this would be like really cool to like make this jug really bad and see what we can do with it. And I'll like put like that position or like put like a stomp catch finish position and like, okay, what's like a cool way to get into this?
Yeah.
And then experiment a little more. But I feel like you have to, especially in commercial setting, you gotta leave a little extra time and be like, okay, the rest of my boulders are gonna be really simple because I don't know what we're doing over here.
Yeah, I'm gonna set a lot of ladders in one really cool boulder.
Yeah. I also feel like Dino used his resources the best. Like, uses the most holds for sure, shows off the deltas the best. But also just like, I don't know, uses them more creatively too. Like, modifies them nicely with blockers and with the volumes, and I don't know, just does a lot with what he has. Yeah, I feel like, do you think someone tall or really springy could do this human flag thing that y'all tried and weren't able to stick?
It for sure goes.
Yeah, it looks cool.
It's just like, it's probably 8A. It's probably V11 to do that.
What do you think the difference is between that and the jump out lift?
I thought that this boulder in its entirety was maybe V9 or V10.
Okay.
But like, to do the shoulder press,
just one move V11?
yeah, it was like a lot harder. I think that's about enough for Boulder 3. I think it's time for us to unveil, and then we can announce the actual Battle of Block winners. Okay, here's my list. I'm going to tick and strip. I'm going to keep Dino's boulder. I'm not going to touch it.
Cool.
I'm going to let that one ride.
Yeah.
I'm going to dirt your boulder, Cody, because you know what? You dirted mine and failed. Okay? So revenge. No, but I really am dirting Cody's boulder. I think that it's the least interesting boulder. And I think that, it's going to be the easiest one to dirt and just make something new. I actually really like your tweaks on Boulder 2, on Patrick's boulders. I'm still going to try to see what it's like without that jib. And then I'm going to fix that weird volume stack at the end, but keep the chimney.
My plan is to keep Dino's boulder. It's just a good boulder. Good questions. I liked it.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm going to disagree with you. I'm going to tweak Cody's boulder. The thing that you're maybe dirting it for, that it's like simple, is maybe why I want to tweak it, is because it's simple, but it's like a good simple question to ask. And I feel like you could ask it better by just like changing spacing on some of it.
Yes.
Which would be really easy to tweak. I think Patrick's boulder, Boulder 2, seems like really fun, cool commercial boulder that would be fun to climb on. But in a round, I think if you start feeling like, oh, maybe we just tweak it because it's too much work to dirt it, maybe that just means there's a better question to ask here. And we should just put the work in now and dirt it and find the better question.
Well, the public had a thing to say about this as well. And honestly, our opinions don't really matter. I just thought that this could be kind of entertaining and a good way for me to get back at Cody for dirting my boulder and Dale. But the viewers, the voters, voted on this, and those results are in right now in 3rd place, which is kind of the dirt place of the competition, according to the public. Cody, not only am I gonna dirt your boulder, but so is YouTube. And Patrick, your boulder's getting tweaked. Dino, my friend, your boulder, you won.
Good boulder.
Reach wins.
Reach wins.
Reach is getting a free set of deltas. It's a competition. you signed up for this.
Yeah.
But just to even sign up for it, I think is just really cool. And yeah, so thank you, Cody. Thank you, Patrick. Thank you, Dino. And thank you to everyone who voted.
Real.
Thank you to everyone who commented real for so many reasons.
It's just real.
It's just,
it's just really real.
You're literally keeping it real. And the winner of the Real Chalk Challenge goes to Noah Led at 50-55.
Oh yeah, Noah.
Let's go, Noah. You're about to get chalked up. Thank you for coming down here to do this.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. For a sneak peek into season 2, episode 1 with Monica, stick around. We're gonna play that right now. A gym is only as good as its hold room. I feel like the questions that are asked, like it has, in my opinion, like 3 pretty distinct ball points. You might get some people in the start too, but it's very nice.